The sun was setting over the quiet plains of Arizona, painting the sky with soft orange and crimson hues. A faint wind carried the scent of dry grass through the wooden fences of a poor rancher's land, where a little girl named Mary sat on the porch clutching a small bowl of stew. Her father had spent the entire day working the fields, trying to stretch what little they had left before winter came. Times were hard, the cattle were thin, and money was scarcer than rain in July. But even in that hardship, Mary's heart had never hardened. She was only 5, yet her kindness was larger than the dusty world she lived in. That evening, as she waited for her father to return, she saw something move near the tree line beyond their field. A small figure, thin and cautious, standing half-hidden behind a mesquite bush. It was a boy no older than herself, his face smeared with dust, his clothes torn, and his eyes dark with both hunger and fear. Mary tilted her head, curious. She had never seen him before. Slowly she stood, her tiny boots scuffing the dry dirt. The boy didn't move as she approached. He looked ready to run, his bare feet trembling in the sand. Mary stopped a few feet away and smiled the way children do when they feel no threat. She looked down at her bowl, still half full, and then looked at him. "You hungry?" she asked softly. The boy didn't answer. He just stared at her with wide, uncertain eyes. She took a small spoonful from the bowl, lifted it toward him and said, "It's warm. Mama made it." The boy's eyes flickered with something, the mixture of longing and disbelief. Slowly, carefully, he stepped forward. When his trembling hand touched the bowl, Mary smiled again and let him take it. He ate quickly but silently, as though he feared the food would vanish if he lingered too long. When he finished, he looked at her, wanting to say something but unable to form words. Mary tilted her head again. "You don't talk?" she asked. The boy shook his head once. Then, in a gesture so gentle it almost broke the silence of the plains, he placed his hand on his chest and pointed to the horizon, toward the direction of the distant Apache lands. Mary didn't understand, but she smiled anyway. "It's okay," she said cheerfully. "You can come back if you're hungry again." And then, just as quietly as he had come, the boy turned and disappeared into the dimming light. That night Mary told her father about the silent boy. Her father, a man hardened by life's struggles, frowned. "You shouldn't wander near the tree line," he warned. "The tribes are restless these days." But Mary just said softly, "He looked hungry, Pa, and he didn't hurt me." Her father sighed deeply, staring into the fire. "Kindness can be dangerous out here," he said, "but sometimes it's the only thing that makes us human." He tucked her into bed, kissed her forehead, and blew out the lantern. The next morning dawned quiet and pale. The sky was grey and a strange heaviness hung in the air. As her father stepped outside to feed the horses, he froze. From the edge of the field, a group of riders approached. Tall figures dressed in leather and feathers, their faces solemn, their eyes steady. They were Apache elders, riding with silent purpose. At their side was the same boy from the night before, sitting upright on a horse far too big for him, holding the same empty bowl Mary had given him. Her father's hand instinctively went to his gun, but then he saw the boy lift the bowl high above his head, his small arm trembling as he did. The riders stopped, dismounted, and began to walk toward the porch, where Mary stood wide-eyed, clutching her father's sleeve. The eldest among them, a man with grey braids and eyes deep as the desert sky, spoke first. "Who is the child?" he asked. Mary stepped forward, her voice small but clear. "Me, sir," she said. "He was hungry. I gave him my dinner." The elder looked down at her, and for a long moment no one said anything. Then slowly he nodded. "You gave to one of our children without fear," he said in a low, solemn voice. "You showed heart when others would have shown hate." The boy, still silent, walked forward and placed a small carved wooden bird in Mary's hand. A gift, shaped by tiny fingers, smooth and warm from his touch. And as the sun rose behind them, painting gold across the dry land, Mary's father realized that a single act of kindness had reached across a line that guns and fences never could. That night, The ranch was alive with an energy Mary's father couldn't explain. The Apache elders stayed. They dismounted, removed their weapons, and sat around the fire, not as enemies but as guests. For the first time in years, the old rancher saw peace instead of fear in their eyes. The silent boy sat beside Mary, carving something with his small knife, every so often glancing up at her with a quiet smile. Her father watched them, humbled, as one of the elders began to speak. "Long ago," the old man said, "our people believed that children carried the clearest hearts, the kind that saw no enemy, only need. That boy's mother died 3 days ago. He wandered from our camp, lost and hungry. We searched, but it was your child who found him, and fed him when we could not." Mary's father felt his throat tighten. He looked down at his daughter, whose only crime had been compassion. "She didn't do much," he said, trying to find words. The elder smiled faintly. "In this world," he said, "a meal given in kindness is worth more than a lifetime of silence." The fire cracked. Coyotes howled in the distance, and for the first time, the ranch felt less lonely. The elders shared stories through the night, tales of their ancestors, of the land that had raised them all, and of how kindness, once given, echoes far beyond the giver's sight. When dawn came again, the sky was alive with soft pink light, and the riders prepared to leave. Before mounting his horse, the eldest turned to Mary's father and said, "Your daughter has reminded us that not all hearts in this valley are closed. You are welcome on our land as long as she walks it." He handed the rancher a bundle wrapped in leather. Inside were dried herbs, a hand-woven blanket, and a piece of gold ore, enough to change their struggling life forever. Tears welled in the old man's eyes. He tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. He simply nodded, gripping the elder's hand tightly. As the riders disappeared into the morning mist, Mary held the wooden bird close to her chest, whispering to her father, "See, Pa, he wasn't bad. He just needed someone to care." Her father smiled through his tears. "You're right, little one," he said. "Maybe that's what the world needs. A few more people who care before they judge." The story of Mary and the silent boy spread through nearby towns, whispered around campfires and told by travelers who had seen the impossible, Apaches and settlers breaking bread in peace. That single act of kindness had not only changed one boy's fate, but had reminded an entire valley what humanity could look like. And if you're listening to this story now, remember, kindness still carries power. You never know whose life you might change with one small act of love. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because every week we bring you powerful, true stories that remind us what it means to be human. Stories of courage, compassion, and hope. Hit the subscribe button, share this video, and keep the spirit of kindness alive.